16-0.
That's right, there is 16-0, and today, if they become 17-0, they will clinch the White Division Championship, even though they have 3 games remaining. Keith Carroll and Andy Lukac will be right back to tell you about today's matchup right after this. Thanks a lot, Tom.
You know, I've been doing magic for...
Welcome back to South Plainfield. We had Tom Novak here. Now we have his father here, Coach Steve Novak. Coach, 16-0. We had you on Plain Sports in the beginning of the year. You had good things to say about your ball club. Did you think 16 games in the season you'd be undefeated, and if you win today, you will clinch the White Division Championship?
Well, I guess first of all, in the beginning of the season, I never thought we'd have 16 in a row, no less 7 shutouts in a row. As to the White Division, yeah, I have to say I was optimistic that we'd be able to win it, but to go undefeated in it seems to be kind of phenomenal. A lot of people are talking about the streaks, you know, and so on, but we haven't been too superstitious yet, and we're winning, but the way we're looking at this still is 1 game at a time, and I'm not using that as a cliche, but really believing it.
And you have to give nothing but confidence to the pitching staff. As you said, 7 shutouts, and Quinn Johnson and Plax and we'll see both of them today. They just have done great jobs for you.
Well, everybody knew Chris Cochran was one of the best pitchers in the state, an all-state pitcher. We obviously knew that. And the object was who was going to be number 2 or 3. And after both of their first outings weren't very impressive, we still were left with some question marks. So we've given up 28 runs on the year, but we gave up 15 of them in the second and third ball games. Now, since then, we've been on a roll. Quinn Johnson with the 1-hitter, the no-hitter, but his most important game wasn't either one of those. It's when he pitched a shutout when we only won 1-0. And the same thing with Brian Plax. With all the great games he's had, it's that 1-0 game that you need it the most. You know, it's easy in the 9-0 blowouts, but you like to have it when those one-run games are there. And these kids have come through, all 3 of them effectively with the strikeout, not giving up many walks. They've only walked 5 and 7 batters in over 30 innings. So you got to go, you know, and say, hey, that's the way to keep the men off the base. And defense, which not too many people are talking about. I've got 2 kids in the middle, Kevin Bakunis at second base, and Tommy Massara, who I consider one of the best in Central Jersey, along with the kid Kramer, Jason, up there from North Hunterdon, that I think are the 2 best shortstops in the Tri-County area.
Tell us about today's matchup against South Brunswick, the Vikings. They're coming in here.
Well, South Brunswick, number 1, saved the race for me today, so we're going to see their best. I already checked the newspapers on that.
16-0, why not?
Yeah, so they're looking for that. They're a little hungry today because they need to win this to go to the state tournament, so they've got all the incentives. Our incentives is last year they upset us and cost us the conference championship, so obviously we're going to remember that and try to go out and do our best. They hit the ball. They did hit Chris Cochran the first time we threw. We beat them 9-5 early in the year. And they hit the baseball. So today, instead of throwing a fastball, man, I'm going to start off with Brian Plax, and hopefully I'm going to bring in Quinn Johnson, because with our schedule going the way it is next week with 3 games, plus the county tournament opening up next Saturday, I'm probably going to go with Chris in the first round of the counties and let him throw Monday. So we got to get some innings for Quinn today, too. But that depends on the bats and just what's happening in the game today.
Coach, thanks for joining us. Good luck again.
Our pleasure. Thank you for being by again.
Thank you. This is Keith Carroll. Keith Carroll and Andy Lukac will be back to bring you South Plainfield baseball right after this.
Good afternoon, everyone. Andy Lukac along with Keith Carroll and our store cable television crew. This Thursday afternoon, we're live on videotape at South Plainfield Field, off the way for Frank Jost Field here in South Plainfield. We're gonna be looking forward to seeing today the South Plainfield Tigers featuring a undefeated record, Keith, versus the 6-7 Greater Middlesex Conference foe, the South Brunswick Vikings. And Keith, maybe you can give us quickly the South Plainfield defense and the Viking lineup coming up to face the starting pitcher, which I believe you've mentioned to me is going to be a cooperative job today between junior Brian Plax and senior Quinn Johnson.
Yes, Andy, I talked to Coach Steve Novak, and during the open, he said that he's going to try to give Quinn Johnson some innings here, because the next time he would be scheduled to pitch is next Friday, and he doesn't want Quinn to go with that many days rest. And South Brunswick did face South Plainfield earlier in the year against Chris Cochran, and South Plainfield, of course, was victorious and beat them by a score of 9-5. And he thought that they hit Chris Cochran pretty well. As the first pitch here to Nico Miliotis is strike 1. He thought they hit Chris Cochran pretty well, a fastball pitcher, so he decided to give Plax the start here, maybe throw him a little junk, a little off-speed stuff to kind of throw them out of sync. Here's the 0-1 pitch, fouled back 0-2.
Let's do the lineup quickly for South Brunswick. Keith, Nico Miliotis is center fielder batting first. He wears number 7. Mike Colantuano, first base. He wears number 11, batting second. Batting third is Nico's twin brother, Manoli Miliotis. He's the catcher, wearing number 12. Batting in the fourth spot, the cleanup spot, Craig Collins. He's the pitcher. He's 3-0 this year, and he's the best hitter on the team, and he wears number 15. Back to you, Keith, for play-by-play.
0-2 pitch. Fly ball deep to left field. Cochran giving a chase, but the center fielder Hilton runs over and makes the catch, one away.
Hilton is fielded some center field this year, and of course, you need many key ingredients to attain the success that South Plainfield has had this year. And obviously Hilton, a vital cog, batting nearly 400, and he has even been a spot pitcher, of course, defensively, and also in center field, and also the leadoff hitter. But let's talk a little South Brunswick here with one out here, and the shutout streak continues for another batter, Keith Carroll.
7 straight here. Straight games for a shutout here for South Plainfield. 1-0 pitch to Mike Guantano. He'll play first place for the South Brunswick Vikings.
Phil McCutcheon behind the plate today doing the balls and strikes.
Here's the 1-0 pitch swung on a foul tip, even the count to 1-1.
McCutcheon from Sayreville, and John Uhas from Metuchen. He's umping the base pass to our right here.
Beautiful day here. Looked like a threat of rain earlier, but a nice spring day here. The 1-1 pitch grounded down the first base line. Here's Baveda, flips 2 plaques, and that will be 2-way here for South Brunswick here in the top half of the first inning. Good play there by Pareda.
And if you're scoring that, 3-1 right there. By the way, let's reverse the umpires right there, and that's Phil McCutcheon from Sayreville making the call right there on the base pass. He's wearing the jacket, and without the jacket, wearing the protector inside the garment, a la old National League style, is John Uhas, J-U-H-A-S-Z from Metuchen. So foul ball to Keith Carroll right there, Keith.
First pitch to Manoli Miliotis, the twin brother of Nico, and that's the second set of twins we have here, as South Plainfield has the Massaro brothers. Takes the pitch and fouls it back for an 0-1 count.
And as we mentioned before, it was Barclieri, the DH. He's batting in the 5th position. He's DHing for Joe Verderami, the third baseman, who wears number 3. Ralph Ramirez follows him at second base, wears number 3. Pete Snyder is the left fielder, wears number 8. Scott Irwin is the right fielder, number 16. And bringing up the bottom of the order is John Janowski, the shortstop, wearing number 1.
The 0-1 pitch taken for a ball low, 1-1.
Actually, as we mentioned before, South Plainfield with a sort of unprecedented 49 consecutive innings, 7 consecutive shutouts, and I believe we featured a no-hitter.
And here's the 1-1 pitch line. It's going to be foul ball down over the right field fence, foul ball. 1-2 is now the count to Miliotis.
Keith Carroll, I don't know what it is. Maybe we're doing a few too many games, but those aluminum shots are sounding more and more like the old Louisville Slugger and Adirondack bats. You know, is it just the way they make these bats perhaps now?
Maybe they're dead. When they get dead, they sound like the Louisville Sluggers. I mean, you know all too well there, Andy.
Sounds just like wood is written on the side of that aluminum bat.
Here's the 1-2 pitch curveball, and this is outside, 2-2.
And you talk about a ball that fell off the table. There was one right there from our right field box vantage spot, our story cable box here.
Here's the 2-2 pitch from Plex. Foul ball here. Keith Carroll leaning back, and it'll be out of play and out of his reach. Count stays 2-2.
Quinn Johnson limbering up behind us, who we mentioned before will probably be coming in a few innings, sort of a split situation. And Keith, I might want to make a mention here that Bob Cleffy, the Vikings manager, at 6 and 7 tomorrow being the state cutoff day, a vital game for South Brunswick. If they hit the 500 mark, they make the states. If they lose today, they're not in the state tournament.
The 2-2 pitch inside now makes a count 2 full, 3-2 to Miliotis. I was talking to Coach Steve Novak earlier, and he said this is a must-win game, as you said, Andy, for South Brunswick. And when you play a team that's undefeated, you kind of get a little bit pumped them up. Plus, they need the win to make the state, he says. And here's a fly ball in the gap in between left center. Miliotis will have extra bases as he rounds first. Will head to second and will hold there. A double by Miliotis on a 3-2 pitch by Plax, just drilled into the left center field gap, Andy.
Exactly like you say, you could see that South Brunswick is pumped. And I don't want to have any bad forebodings about the shutout streak or even the undefeated streak here earlier in the game, but indeed they are finding the mark with the bat. And And they're giving the South Plainfield defense a workout here in the first inning, Keith Carroll.
Yeah, he had the count 1-2, fell behind, gave the count to 3-2, gave him a pitch that he could handle, and Meliodas put it promptly in the left center field gap for a double. Here's the pitcher Collins as he hits a ground ball to shortstop Massaro over to Paveda, and that will do it for South Brunswick. A little bit of a threat there, but no run has come across, so the shutout streak is still alive here, Andy. So after 1/2 inning of play, 1 runner left, 1 hit, no runs across for South Brunswick to score. South Brunswick nothing. South Plainfield coming to bat, Andy.
Well, Keith, let's look quickly here between innings of the South Plainfield lineup. Jeff Hilton, as he has all season, will lead off. He's a center fielder wearing number 21. Danny Massaro, part of the Massaro brother combination that has led South Plainfield all year. The right fielder wearing number 11 will bat second. Chris Cochran playing left field tonight, wearing number 1 will bat third. Tommy Massaro, the shortstop, wearing number 13, will bat fourth. Of course, Tommy Massaro batting over 400. Danny Massaro also over 400 also. Scott Oler, who's having a very good year as a catcher, wearing number 44, batting 386. Peter Gustafson, who's season time also pitching, helping out in the shutout streak that South Plainfield has had the past 7 games as third baseman, and wearing number 12, batting 6. Number 7, Ken Pareda, Keith, playing first base, as you just mentioned, got the assist, or the putout, I should say, on the last Massaro play, wearing number 59, usually an unusually high number for a baseball player.
Pudge Fix, he is not 72 there for Pudge Fix on the Chicago White Sox.
Quinn Johnson is the DH for pitcher Brian Plax in the 8th position. Of course, Quinn we just saw limbering up behind us as the foul ball skied behind us, and Kevin Bakunis is the second baseman wearing number 10. He brings up the bottom of the order. And Keith, a quick mention of our crack staff here again today. It's sort of a full crew that we brought with us here for Stora.
We have 1 camera and like 10,000 people that work here for Stora Cable on Marvin Day's payroll. We have marvelous Marvin Day doing the camera here. He's also the star of In the Mix. Yeah, that's right, ladies, In the Mix, but sorry, he's married and has 2 children. Anyway, going down the list is Andrew Michaud, new intern to join us, and Don, no, I will not dissect that warmly.
No, I will not dissect you warmly. And of course, Don is working on all our ad-libs, so if there are any problems with any of our ad-libs, please dial us at Stora Cable for your subscriptions or whatever at 769-0812. Ask for Don Wormley, Marvin Day, or Keith Carroll.
Here is leading off for South Plainfield, the center fielder, Jeff Hilton. He takes a strike from Collins. Jeff batting .396 with 10 RBIs. And well, something interesting about this South Plainfield team here, Andy. 16 wins, no home runs. Not really that home run hitter for South Plainfield, but a lot of good hitters on South Plainfield.
No round trippers, but the way the ball's flying out today, Keith, you get the feeling that possibly we may see some dingers today, as they say.
1-1 pitch to Hilton from the big man, Craig Collins. Collins grounded out to Massaro for the last out of the inning. Here's a 1-1 pitch, swung right in front of the plate. That is a fair ball. Good play there by Meliodas. Throws a little bit high, but gets Hilton down the line. Good play there by the catcher Meliodas. One of the Meliodas twins hopping right out on that chopper there by Jeff Hilton. So there's 1 away.
Manoli Meliodas, the senior twins, along with, of course, right up the middle, beyond the pitcher there, which is, of course, Collins, Nico Meliodas, the center fielder. And there's 1 out for South Plainfield, Keith.
And here's Danny Massaro playing right field from the Massaro brothers, batting .429 as he fouls this one off to make it a 0-2 count to Massaro. Batting .429, impressive .429, and 49 at-bats. He has 21 hits, 8 runs scored, 12 stolen bases, leads the team in that department. 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, and 14 RBI also leads the team in that department.
It's amazing what you know off the top of your head, Keith.
The 0-2 pitch swung on weakly by Massaro, so that'll do for Massaro as he strikes out. So that'll 2 away here for South Plainfield in the bottom half of the first inning. 3 quick pitches there, Andy, to Massaro. Collins not fooling around.
Well, stepping up to plate right now is Chris Cochran, who got the other last win for South Plainfield.
Chris Cochran is 7-0 as a pitcher, Andy, with a .62 ERA, and he is batting 184. And as he takes this pitch way back, it is high, it is deep, it is...
Ground rule double.
Ground rule double. Let's see what the call is from the umpire. He calls 2. He calls a double, and so is the home plate umpire. Andy, you're just saying that he is batting 184, promptly takes the 1-0 pitch and bounces it right over the playing field in the South Plainfield sign to almost straightaway center field.
Of course, the one fan out of the outfield, the four-legged one, trying to retrieve the ball. We could have a problem getting that ball back over there. Deep in the alley there, 381 in dead center here, and South Plainfield with an opportunity to get an early lead, Keith.
Here is Tom Massaro, the other part of the Massaro twins, batting 4th. Tommy is hitting .412, 21 hits at 51 at bats. Here's the 1-0 pitch down the right field line, and that might be fair, foul ball, just foul. So the count is even to 1-1. Getting back to Chris Cochran there, Andy, the last game I believe he covered, was it the last game or the first game we covered here at South Plainfield? He took a pitch and lined it right off straightaway center field, the 387 sign. So he just does the same here, almost getting a home run here. As we were just talking about, South Plainfield has no round trippers. Here's the 1-1 pitch, fouled back, 1-2 count to Massaro.
Well, it seems like it's one of those days where you can almost feel it in the air, Keith, that, and watch as I say this, it may rain and may get gusty, but there's virtually no wind here, and there's sort of a heavy air here. It's very refreshing, great day for a baseball game, as they say. I know that's been said before, but this certainly is one of the finer days. Not too warm. I guess it's in the mid-60s today, and virtually no wind. You see the flag in center field is standing still.
The 2-2 pitch to Massaro is low, runs the count to full. So Craig Collins, after getting ahead 1-2, now falls behind 3-2. Runner on second base, 2 outs. Here's the 3-2 pitch, fouled off right behind our heads. The count stays at 3-2.
Over the batting cage behind us here, and having a lot of action here with the fans scurrying for balls right and left. And indeed, since this season has started, a fine crowd here in South Plainfield. That's, as Coach Novak had predicted, they'd have a nice crowd regardless, a nice following here. But Keith Carroll, an undefeated squad to match.
Excuse me, I thought it was a 3-2 count. Now the count is 3-2, as we almost have a pickoff player at second base. Chris Cochran daring Collins to throw back there.
That's exactly what Cochran wants, of course. You want to distract the pitcher as much as you can.
Especially with your fourth place hitter up there. As the fourth place hitter hits one deep to center field. It is high, it is deep, it is caught at the track. A nice catch there by the other Miliotis to run back all the way to the 387 sign to make the catch. So at the end of 1 full inning of play, South Plainfield, no runs, 1 hit, 1 man left. And so at the end of 1 inning, South Brunswick nothing and South Plainfield nothing. Keith Carroll for Andy Lukac. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back. We're here in South Plainfield with South Brunswick taking on South Plainfield in the top of the 2nd inning here, and leading off for the Vikings, number 14, Jonas Broccolari, the designated hitter. He's the designated hitter for the third baseman, Joe Verderami, and Keith Carroll and Andy Lukac here. Andy Lukac giving it to Keith Carroll, heading off for the play-by-play with Brian Plax on the mound.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Did he go around? And yes, he did. So a quick strikeout. This is the first strikeout in the game for Brian Plax here. 0-0 is the score. An interesting bottom half of the first for South Plainfield. 2 balls hit deep. Ground rule double by Chris Cochran, the left fielder. And the fourth place hitter, Tommy Massaro, almost putting one out of the park, but a great defensive play there by Miliotis to make the catch.
Rob Ramirez at the plate right now, second baseman, wearing number 3 for the Vikings. And a quick mention, of course, yesterday, or should I say the last game that South Plainfield did play, beating North Brunswick by 4. That's Ralph Ramirez is up, the second baseman, wearing number 3, and of course Joe Verderami, the third baseman, is not going to be batting, as Sparklery, who's the designated hitter for him.
Andy corrects my scorebook there. Thank you, Andy, very much.
Yeah, I mentioned the other day, Cochran did strike out 7 the other day in tossing the 2-hitter, and with 7 games ago, this is the 8th game into it, the last game that a opponent of South Plainfield scored a run was in the 7th inning, so it's a clean, now 50 consecutive innings, Keith Carroll.
That's just tremendous. As we got a fly ball here to center field, right center. Here is Hilton Mayer over and make the catch. So Ramirez flies to left center, and Hilton's there to make the putout. So there's 2 away. Excuse me, Andy. Go ahead.
Well, a little special announcement right there. Of course, you've been watching this game on Channel 20, Star Cable. Of course, a lot of people collecting memories of this particular year. But 1991 tomorrow. A happy Mother's Day to everyone on behalf of Keith and myself and everybody at Store Cable here also for tomorrow. Keith, we had to do that sort of publicity announcement. We try not to do any.
We have mothers.
We try not to do any advertising for certain pizzerias and certain sodas in the area, but we will advertise Mother's Day. That is in our contract.
Here is Pete Schneider. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That runs to 2-0. Andy, talking about the South Plainfield pitching staff, just a phenomenal ERA as a team, a 1.14 ERA as a team. That's with 5 pitchers throwing for South Plainfield. Just phenomenal for any level, sport level, never mind high school. Here's a ball grounded back to Plax. Here's Bakunis making good play. Parita got him. Good play there by Kevin Bakunis. The ball hit off of Plax, so scored 1-4-3 at home. Just a great play there by Kevin Bakunis. And the South Plainfield's shutout streak still continues to 51 innings, Andy. So just a great all-around effort. Jeff Plax seems to be all right, as Coach Novak is asking him. But when you're 16-0, I'd be all right, too. I wouldn't want to come out of the game, Andy.
Until his name's been changed, I believe we're talking Brian Plax there.
Excuse me.
But that's what happens when you have a checked swing anyway, Keith, as you and I both know. By the way, as we usually do mention, this field is to be used with the Board of Education permission. Of course, the big Board of Education election recently in South Plainfield here only. So if you ever need to use this particular field, a fine field that happens to be here, call 754-4620, extension 304. That's our little eye chart on the back of the backstop right there also. And a very nice introduction to the game by Steve Novak's son again today. Of course, he's becoming a regular here.
Tommy, he's going to take mine and your job in a couple of years here, Andy.
Maybe less, Keith. From the, and I did see his agent today also, and I think he may be yours in the future.
He wanted animal crackers and Hawaiian punch.
Tom is, I believe, in 2nd or 3rd grade. His agent is in 7th grade, and he projects to be a millionaire next year. So I think maybe we may have grown up in sort of the wrong generation, but we've got to be quite happy here with an undefeated squad in South Plainfield.
Tom Novak just having a birthday passing, he was telling me. 6 years old he is. 6 years old and loves baseball and is here right by his father every game.
Talking about a big guy right here. Looks like Scotty Oler at the plate here.
Scott Oler. The father corrected us coming here today. Scott Oler batting .386 for South Plainfield.
Scott, don't call me Oler. Scott, call me Oler.
He is batting .386, 17 hits and 44 at-bats with 11 RBIs. The catcher swings and misses.
Obviously, one of the big question marks going into the season was not the fact that Scott Oler could hit the ball. He has improved dramatically defensively also, and I think even if you look at the guy who's been the primary backstop for a pitching staff like South Plainfield, you got to give a little credit to the catcher.
And he has that catcher's mold, Andy, the kind of mold you want in a catcher. Big, stocky guy, big arms, good power, has a good arm to second base. And he's just done a tremendous job for South Plainfield as he fouls this pitch back to stay alive.
Of course, Scott Oler, a great all-around athlete, and elected and selected to various all-county football grid teams in his career at South Plainfield also.
I believe he was all-state as a sophomore, talking to his father earlier in the year during the football season, as a curveball just gets him off balance, but he does foul off to stay alive.
As the sun starts to beam down on us here, a little late afternoon sun, and gets a little warmer here. It's certainly a nice day for a ball game, but still virtually no wind blowing out here, but the balls are blowing out lately.
Here's the pitch, and he walks in 3-2 count. He walked him. as Scott Oler is on board for South Plainfield.
Scott had a double in the win the other day against North Brunswick. Of course, North Brunswick, not a shabby record, 18-6. Talk about a team that's played a lot of games, and South Plainfield 16-0 going into today's game. And as we mentioned before, South Brunswick must get a win here today to qualify for the state tournament.
Here's the third baseman, Pete Gustafson, lays out a bunt right back to the mound, bobbled there by Collins, and everyone will be safe. Everyone will be safe, so I will score that at an error, and even though you'd like to give him a hit, I will score that at error as Craig Collins tried to pick up the ball before he had it, bobbed a little bit because he was going to go to second all the way, you could tell, turned around, but Gustafson beats it out at first base, so runner on first and second with none away.
Scored a knee, I believe. Collins was just thinking about the throw. Actually, he was still thinking about going to second base, sort of cocked his head back there, and the left-hander is in a tough situation right now.
And here's Ken Pareda, and he also lays on a bunt, but they do have a play at third base, and they get Oler on his way to third base, so there is a one away.
Just like, I think Steve Novak right there has got to be a little disappointed in Kenny's bunt execution there. He got the ball down, but of course, when you have runners on first and second, you want to bunt that ball toward the first baseman to force the play at first base, if anything, especially with a left-handed pitcher falling off the mound that way. He bunted the ball right toward third base, so the play was rather easy there.
Especially for a left-handed pitcher in Collins, it's an easier play for him up the third base side. Just picked it and turned around through, and he should have bunted it towards the first base side. And here is Quinn Johnson. Quinn DHing for the pitcher, Brian Plax. Quinn batting 185, 5 hits and 27 at-bats. Here's the 1-0 pitch is low, making the count 2-0.
Keith, as they say, he's due. And of course, going back to the last game that we broadcast here, went down to his last batter and he pitched a one-hitter. Then the following outing, he pitched a no-hitter.
And then a 3-hitter, so as he swings and misses at the 2-0 pitch, now making the count 2-1. And talking to Coach Novak before the game, he said that was his best pitch game, the 3-hitter, because South Plainfield only won the ball game by a score of 1-0. It was on first and second, 1 out, the pitch, low, 3-1.
Sort of a curious motion that Collins has, and there's a loose ball out there right now. Of course, that ball is live. Keith also runners on second, third with 1 out here. South Plainfield with an opportunity to, with 2 runners in scoring position, to jump out into a lead fairly early in the game, Keith. Of course, the base is loaded, as I mentioned.
3-1 pitch now, loads the bases.
Loads the bases now, yes.
So 1 away here. Tough job here, but tough situation, excuse me, for Craig Collins. 1 out, bases loaded, and that'll bring up Kevin Bakunis. Kevin playing a great second base for South Plainfield, batting .222, 4 hits and 18 at-bats. Here's the pitch of Bakunis, takes a strike, 0-1.
As I was mentioning to Collins about his motion from the set here, sort of a sidearm, almost submarine sort of motion.
Here's the 1 pitch taken again by Bakunis, now making the count 0-2. And that's where you want to be if you're Craig Collins. Bases loaded, 1 out. Be 0-2, kind of relaxes you a little bit. The 0-2 pitch swung on, that'll be in there for a base hit. 1 run will score, and Pareda will be held up at third base. So a nice base hit, 0-2 defensive base hit there by Bakunis, and now the score is 1-0 in favor of the South Plainfield Tigers.
That's the way they've been doing it all year, Keith. As you know, they haven't hit the long ball. They hit the doubles, the singles when they have had runners on. They have not let a lot of runners on in scoring position, left on base, and there's a situation right now with, we're talking still 1 out here in the second inning, I guess, still 1 out, and the bases are loaded, and Coach Cleffy comes to the mound to talk to Collins. He mentioned to me earlier that although Collins is his ace of the staff, if he had to go to someone, it would probably be a Danny Katz, who's not on the field right now. But I think the coach just wants to settle his star lefty down and try to quell this rally here of South Plainfield, so the visitors don't get blown out.
I'd also like to say a quick thanks to Michelle De Palma, the statistician for South Plainfield, giving me the lineup, and she's doing a great job for the Tigers this year. As Jeff Hilton coming up takes a low, 1-0. Hilton grounded weakly to right in front of the plate, and the catcher threw him out 2-3. Takes a strike, and that count now even 1-1.
Can we say anything else less than gorgeous, vivacious, and lovely from Michelle De Palma, by the way?
Well, Andy, you could say that. She is a very attractive-looking girl, and she's been nothing but helpful to us the 3 games that we covered
And helpful
here.
also. That was the other word I was looking for. She's done a great job, and of course involved in the other sports also here at South Plainfield also.
Jeff Hilton in the hole here, 1-2, bases loaded, 1 out, 1-0, South Plainfield. Here's the 1-2 pitch swung on weakly, but that will be foul out of play. Hangs tough with 1-2. Big Craig Collins, the big left-hander. Tough inning here. Had a bunt, had a chance to maybe get a double play, bobbled it first and second, walk, bases loaded. Gets 1 out in between there, now bases loaded with 1-0 already to score. And here it is, a ground ball. Here's the second. Ramirez throws over to Guantano to get the 1 out, but a run does score, so in efforts, Hilton does do the job to get the run across.
Ball sort of died on the infield grass there, and by that time, Ramirez's only play was to first base, scored 4-3. Of course, it was interesting also that they have the infield at regular depth also.
And here's a Massaro grounding out to Ramirez, takes the first pitch by Collins and grounds it to Ramirez to end the inning, but South Plainfield does score 2 runs on 1 hit and leaves 2 men. So at the end of 2 innings, South Plainfield 2, South Brunswick nothing. Keith Carroll for Andy Lukac. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, kids. It's me, Grandpa.
Welcome back to South Plainfield baseball here in South Plainfield, where the Tigers take a 2-0 lead there in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Keith Carroll along with Andy Lukac. 51 straight scoreless innings for South Plainfield, looking for 52 here, Andy. Here's Scott Irwin. He's playing right field for South Brunswick. Fouls the first pitch back, 0-1 the count.
And speaking about scoreless innings, heard a news flash from the minor leagues of the Dodgers organization that Oral Hershiser pitched a strong Class A game last night. Great to see he's back on his comeback trail.
5 innings he pitched, and also in baseball news today, which is Thursday, the Yankees released Andy Hawkins, so they'll eat his $1.4 million salary this year. Andy had a couple of rough outings for the New York Yankees, so Gene Michael and the higher-ups decided to release him.
And speaking of that, the Yankees brought up another ex-Dodger. We'll get to that in a second.
Here's the 1-1 pitch fouled back. That makes the count to 1-2. Steve Howe, I believe you're talking about, Andy.
Steve Howe was brought up today, and obviously it's a very nice story. A lot of negative things in Steve Howe's career, but obviously he's turned the corner. He has not had an earned run scored against him since April 18th, as his pitching coach from Columbus was interviewed today. And good to see he's made a good turn in his life.
Here's a 1-2 pitch inside, making even the count to 2-2. Batting is Scott Irwin, the right fielder. 2-0 to score here at South Plainfield. And Andy, I believe you have an interview for us a little later on in the game. You're going to play for us here.
Well, we spoke to the Viking coach.
As Irwin swings and misses, and good pickup there by Aller for the first out here in the top of the 3rd.
You know, I spoke to Bob Kleppe about the South Plainfield undefeated streak.
And here's what he had to say.
Well, that was part of the interview. I'm sorry we had technical problems with that. As a few of the wrong buttons were pushed there, but we'll work on that later.
Here's John Janowski, the shortstop for South Brunswick. Takes the 1-0 pitch and fouls it back to 1-1. Andy,
the state-of-the-art technology that I'm using right here, of course.
Realistic. It's voice activated. Andy Lukac will go back to his tape record and see if he can find that interview for us later on in the game.
No one beats the store. Store cable, of course. No, that's, we try not to do any plugs here for pizza parlors in South Plainfield.
And Plax now records his second strikeout in the inning as John Janowski goes down swinging. So there's two-way here in the top of the third. That is 3 strikeouts for Plax, and that'll bring up the top of the lineup Nico Melodis, who flew out to center field his first time at bat.
You talk about healthy, though, and Brian Plax is getting healthy, and some fine pitching at South Plainfield is also here, going for their 17th consecutive victory this year.
Brian Plax with a 4-0 record, a 1.02 ERA, has given up 5 runs, 4 of them earned, and 16 hits, 7 walks, 16 hits, 7 hits. Oh, I'm sorry, 16 hits. I'm reading Quinn Johnson's card here. 16 hits and 7 walks in 27 and 1/3 innings. So that's very impressive for Brian Plax, a lanky left-hander. The 1-0 pitch taken for a strike to Nico Miliokas. Now even the count's 1-1.
Would you call him lanky?
Well, lanky, not tall, but he's skinny, lanky pitcher, left-handed southpaw.
We'll give you lanky. Okay, with the
Thanks,
vote.
Andy. And that with the double-word score I had, that'll make.
I'll take a vowel after that also, Keith.
The 1-1 pitch is taken high for a ball, 2-1 to Nico Miliotis, the center fielder.
It's been a few weeks since we've been here in South Plainfield, and of course we had that rather interesting introduction to the game, that particular game.
As the pitch is fouled back over our heads.
By the veteran South Plainfield baseball fan.
And what was his name? If I remember it correctly, I think it was Mike. If I remember, little Mike.
Let's go to the videotape on that, by the way.
We'll have to see if he's around here. As the pitch is lined, and Massaro, he picks it up out of the ground. A great play there by Ken Pareda to come back and beat Melodis to the bag. So a nice one-hopper to Massaro. To Pareda, a little high throw. Nice defensive play there by the first baseman. So the streak is now 52 innings, Andy, as South Brunswick, no runs, no hits, no men left. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Brian Plax. So at the end of 2.5, South Plainfield still holds on to a 2-0 lead.
Well, you never question why first basemen are usually built on the Willie Stretch McCovey side of things. Tall guys like Pareda that have the ability to get a vertical jump up there, and Quinn Johnson, who happens to be, of course, a fine basketball player in his own right, led South Plainfield to a sectional championship this past winter. And Pareda coming down, and you got to give a lot of credit to Massaro to staying with the ball, not hesitating, as the ball actually could have been ruled it out there. Did not even look at the umpire and followed right through with the play at first base.
The ball hit sharply right at him. Some players back away. Talking to Coach Steve Novak, he feels that he's one of the best shortstops here in Central Jersey. And Massaro just playing great defense for South Plainfield this year.
A little quick mention, the undefeated South Plainfield golf team had another victory the other day, and of course led by the Brooks brothers. And if you ever watch Monday Night on Store Cable, which I'm sure all our viewers do, Plain Sports, I had on Mike Hapka, the golf coach, along with freshman Chris Brooks and Dave Henderson. No, not the Dave Henderson American League leading hitter from the Oakland A's. Dave Henderson, the senior from South Plainfield golf team, and Dave was on. And of course, Dave had a 38 the other day as South Plainfield defeated J.F. Kennedy. South Plainfield is now 15-0.
Here's Chris Cochran as he takes the first pitch from Collins and bunts it foul. Smart heads-up play there by Cochran, who blasted a pitch to straightaway center field on the ground rule double, knowing that Rotorandi is going to play him deep at third base, tried to drop one down, but it just went foul.
Another quick South Plainfield note here. The softball team really back on the beam for Coach Penzarelli. Beat North Brunswick 5-1, Keith.
Count is now 1-1 to Chris Cochran, who will be attending Rutgers University, as we mentioned in the earlier broadcast. Here's the 1-1 pitch from Collins. Swung on and missed.
Following in the now long legacy of South Plainfield players that are going to college and star in various New Jersey colleges, of course.
Here's a pitch line foul off the left field line, just a little bit out in front of that one.
Of course, right now, Jimmy Cole, a South Plainfield graduate, is starring at Rutgers University. He's a senior this year. And of course, in the springtime last year, Jim led the Atlantic Collegiate Baseball League Jersey Pilots to a championship, the local college baseball league in the area. And of course, the Cole family residents of South Plainfield, and our regards to them also.
And
as they say, Keith, good eye.
the 1-2 pitch, yeah, kind of too close to take, but Chris Cochran took it all the way, didn't even flinch, and now the count runs 2-2.
Look at that center fielder, though, for South Brunswick, playing a little shallow, I believe.
The 2-2 pitch leaned out, and that will just make it over the head of Ramirez for a base hit for Chris Cochran. Kind of fooled on the pitch, just stuck out the aluminum bat, and the ball carried right over the Rawlings glove of Ramirez for a base hit. So he's now 2 for 2 in this ball game.
Sort of a 9-iron shot on that one, a chip shot, and in that case, I had no hearing of any sort of wood. That was definitely aluminum in that crack to that bat.
Here is Thomas Sauer, flew away to deep center field his first time up, all the way to the warning track. He sent Miliotis back. Fouls this one off 0-1. The sun is now beaming on the back of our neck, Sandy. We get tan for a day and we lose it by Friday. As he takes his pitch and bounces it right in front of Schneider for a base hit. Schneider quickly gets it back in to keep Cochran right at second base. So a nice line drive hit there by Massaro right in front of Schneider. So now the runner on first and second, no way here. And here comes the big catcher, Scott Aller. As his father screams, wait back to wait on him. Aller walked his first time at the plate and was thrown out as forced out, at third base in the inning where South Plainfield scored both of its runs. 1-0 pitch to Scott Aller. Collins checks the runners. Here's the 1-0 pitch low, 2-0.
Of course, Keith, South Plainfield here in the lead, and just like they've been doing all year, chipping away.
2-0 pitch swung on weakly and fouled back. Scott Aller not happy with himself.
You get the feeling that Collins is rather aiming the ball in right now. He's lost a little bit of velocity, and maybe, although it isn't all that humid or hot today, maybe he is a little bit tired today.
Has a John Candelaria type of sweeping pitch motion. I noticed that before when I was watching him warm up. Here's a 2-1 pitch grounded back to the mound. Collins goes to third base for the putout. Nice hard slide there by Cochran. That's all he'll get. So Aller kind of check swing the ball right back to the box. Collins goes to third base to Verderani and gets the putout. So there's one away here in the bottom of the third inning, and that will bring up Pete Gustafsson, who bunted back to the mound his first time at bat, and the ball was bobbled by Collins, so he reached on an error, so he's 0 for 1. Gustafsson, as the ball gets by the catcher, and both runners will advance another base, so they'll move up 90 feet. So runners on second and third, one away here for Pete Gustafsson, who is hitting .435. He has 20 hits and 47 at-bats, 14 runs scored, 6 stolen bases, 1 walk against 3 strikeouts and 9 RBIs.
We see a little action brewing in the South Brunswick bullpen, by the way.
And Pete hits it right back up the middle. Good play there by Janowski. We got a plate to plate. Here's a throw, and he got him. Double play there for South Brunswick. As the ball was hit on 2 hops to the shortstop Janowski, he threw over to Guitano to get Gustafsson, and he quickly threw the home plate to catch Massaro trying to score from third base. So a good defensive play there by South Brunswick to keep South Plainfield off the board that inning.
Score that one for us, Keith.
Score that one? I outscored 6-3-2 double play.
6-3-2, and they've had a couple of 1-5s already. Talking baseball, schmoozing baseball here. Keith Carroll and Andy Lukac here. And South Plainfield with a threat dying in the wings there, but they maintain the lead here, and we'll see exactly if Coach Cleffy will make any sort of changes, as he still has some action going on in his bullpen down the left field line here at South Plainfield.
Well, Coach Novak trying to take a gamble there. I don't know if he was told to run or not, but we will be right back as Marvin Day is going to change tapes for us here. So Keith Carroll for Andy Lukac. We'll be right back after this.
With his group of 10,000 people.
Difference.
Welcome back here to South Plainfield. Keith Carroll along with Andy Lukac here. 2-0 the score for South Plainfield. But in the bottom of the third inning, they could have had more runs here, but a great defensive play there by Janowski to Guantano, back to Meliodas for a double play. The 6-3-2 double play to squelch the rally by South Plainfield. Brian Plex on the mound throws low to Guantano, who leads off the fourth inning for a count of 1-0. And here's the 1-0 pitch low, making it count 2-0. A little bit more chatter there on the bench for South Brunswick. When you're playing a 16-0 team, you kind of get a little bit up, and your ace in the mound, Craig Collins, who's 3-0 on the year. So South Plainfield has things cut out for them, but they do have a 2-0 lead as Plax now runs the 2-0 pitch high for a 3-0 count. Talking to Coach Steve Novak earlier, he said that he might throw Quinn Johnson also because Quinn is scheduled to pitch next Friday, and that's too many days of rest for his big man, who is 3-0. Here's the 3-0 pitch taking all the way, but the ball is high and outside, so Guantano walks. So not a good start in the fourth inning here for pitcher Brian Plex. Andy Lukac went over to see who was warming up for South Brunswick. Andy is getting clipped, and he will have that information for us here in a second. Now batting is Manoli Meliodas, who hit a double his first time at bat, right in the left center field gap in the first inning, but was left stranded there as he takes high 1-0. So 5 straight pitches, 5 straight balls for Brian Plex. Left hand looks like he's getting a little bit tired there, throwing the ball up in the strike zone. That's usually the sign there, Andy.
And Quinn Johnson, of course, warming up behind us, as you had mentioned, as the game began. This would be an effort with the 2 pitchers for Coach Novak today. The pitcher that was warming up, Luis Arena, for South Brunswick. Let's see exactly if he will go in or Coach Cleffy's going to stay with Craig Collins, who is due up in the order this inning, of course.
Due up next.
Due up next, as a matter of fact, and indeed the best hitting ball player. Of course, if there is a change, he'll probably stay in the game.
The runner is going. Here's a throw by Olive down to second base. It is to the second base side, so give Guantano a stolen base. So he moves down to second base. Manoli Meliodas has a 2-1 count to him here in the top of the fourth inning. 2-0 to score for South Plainfield. So that runner down second base means a lot to South Brunswick. Here's a 2-1 pitch low in the dirt. Good pickup by Aller. Count is now 3-1.
Of course, a lot of things happening now in the future as South Plainfield heads to the end of the schedule now. The county's coming up, the state tournament coming up, and of course the remaining regular season schedule coming up here. It's a tremendous campaign for South Plainfield.
As he hits the ball the other way, but good play there by the right fielder to hold Guantano to second base.
Danny Massaro playing him perfectly there. I mean, you couldn't, he may have had to make 2 steps, took the ball in, and of course rifled the ball in, and the Vikings were unable to advance any runners there. And the shutout streak is still intact, temporarily anyway.
With the 1 away, stepping up as the pitcher, Craig Collins. Craig grounded out to the other Massaro, 6-3, his first time at the plate. Takes this pitch by Plex and fouls it right over the backstop for 0-1 count.
Quick reminder, as we usually do every single game, Keith, that we do at Star Cable, any other use of reproduction or use of this game without the express written consent of Marvin Day, Andy Lukac, or Don Wormley is expressly is prohibited, unless you ask and say please.
The 0-1 pitch fouled off the third base side. The count is now 0-2. Brian Plex, who walked the first batter in this inning through 5 straight balls. Looked like he was in a little bit of trouble here, but seems to have settled down a little bit here with a 0-2 count to the 4th place hitter for South Brunswick, Craig Collins. Here's the 0-2 pitch, ball up high, 1-2.
It seems to be aiming the ball, as you mentioned, that Collins was last inning for the Vikings. Here is Plex here, maybe tiring a little bit here. And more is As lanky as we did agree upon frame, maybe getting a little wear and tear here as it's getting just a little bit humid today. He's throwing a lot of pitches also, Keith.
Here's the 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed by Craig Collins. Looked like Brian Plax put everything he had behind that pitch, and Collins kind of stepping out of the bucket there, swung right through it, and struck out there for the second out in the inning for South Brunswick.
Well, he had no problem whatsoever with rearing back to catch a little extra right there, but meantime, they still have a runner scoring position, does South Brunswick here.
And here's Jonas Broccoleri, and he pops up to the shortstop Acunas giving call, and that'll do it for South Plainfield. So 53 innings, isn't it, Andy? 53 innings strong. The shutout streak is still alive. So at the end of 3.5 innings, 1 runner left. No hits, no runs. The score, 2-0 South Plainfield. So a little bit of a scare there for South Plainfield, walking the first runner in Guatana. We stole second base, no outs. Quick line drive right at Massaro, holding Guantano at second base. A strikeout by Plax to Craig Collins, and stepping up was Jonas Broccoleri, popped up to Bakunis to end the inning.
Of course, every single out that South Plainfield makes in every inning they go on would be reestablishing new records here for shutout innings as they approach, of course, the mark of Earl Hershiser is making the comeback right now of consecutive innings by a pitcher, but regardless of major league level, it just gives you some idea if the Bob Gibsons and the Drysdales pitched, and their greatest in their great careers was between 49 and 58 in the third innings. Here's a team going consecutive games for 7 games now and into its 53rd inning. Quite an accomplishment, Keith.
Here is Ken Parita, the first baseman. Craig grounded into a fielder's choice and scored his first time up in the second inning. So we're here in the bottom of the fourth, 2-0, South Plainfield leading. I'm sure Coach Novak would like a couple more runs here for South Plainfield.
Ken would like to improve from his last time at bat, which he failed to push the runners over on the sacrifice, I believe, Keith. Looking at a lineup card right here.
Yep.
And the fielder's choice there. So I think Ken would like to make good use of this time at bat. And to tell you the truth, quite honestly, he came out of nowhere this spring with an extremely hot bat in the spring training schedule, the Grapefruit League, as we would call it that here in New Jersey, but came on. They couldn't keep him out of the lineup.
Batting .255 now in 16 games for South Plainfield. He has 12 hits and 47 at-bats.
Well above the Mendoza line, though.
Here's the 2-1 pitch. Lunged at the pitch. The ball was 3 inches off the ground, and Parita seemed to lunge at it, kind of a little bit anxious, and Coach Steve Novak didn't like that at all.
Sort of like a Zeppelin dropping at 2 miles an hour, and you're so far advanced, and the ball coming in like a watermelon per se, but he committed himself so early that he couldn't swing twice on that one.
Here's the 2-2 pitch, swung on in the dirt. They'll have a play at first, Miliotis. Oh, he throws over the head and he beats him. So give Miliotis an error on the play, and Andy getting back to, I believe it was the first inning when Jeff Hilton grounded the ball weakly in front of the home plate. Miliotis kind of soft towards the first base there, and the throw was high, but there was last time Guantano made a good play, but here Miliotis again soft tossed the ball again, and as a catcher myself, you got to just fire that ball on the first base. Don't soft toss it because the ball will take off on you.
I think we have a designated runner in for Kenny Parita here.
We'll do number 19 for South Plainfield, and
we'll find out exactly who that is right here.
As Scoop Lukac will leave his mic and go find out who the player is. So that is stepping up for South Plainfield is the big man, Quinn Johnson. He's DHing for Brian Plax. Quinn fouling the ball off himself there. South Brunswick wanted the umpire to call him out for stepping out of the box, but Quinn was clearly in the box there, so 0-1 count to Quinn Johnson. Two 2-0 to score. South Plainfield here. 53 consecutive scoreless innings. We got a runner on first base here with no outs. Here's the pitch from Collins. The runner is going. Good bunt there by Quinn Johnson, but the ball does roll foul. So Johnson trying to advance the runner. Good heads-up coaching there by Steve Novak with a 2-0 lead. Trying to advance the runner over to second base in an effort to get another run across. A little more insurance here for South Plainfield. Quinn Johnson, the interesting story, as we mentioned before, was in South Plainfield, went to Iowa, came back to South Plainfield, and it's been a pleasant surprise for the South Plainfield basketball team and baseball team. Just a good all-around athlete and a heck of a nice guy in Quinn Johnson.
Jay Bullock, by the way, pardon me, Keith, I had to climb up those stairs to get to our booth here. Jay Bullock, number 19, a sophomore. Faster than a speeding bullet. It was what Anthony...
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Faster than a speeding bullock, indeed.
And there's a ball. This could be 2. 6-6. Good pickup there by the first baseman, Guantano. So Janowski taking it himself, throwing the ball in the dirt, but a great play there by Guantano to scoop the ball out of the dirt and with the stretch. So 2 outs there for South Plainfield as Johnson grounds into a double play.
Guantano, indeed, with a great pickup and great stretch, and we've seen some good defensive plays and gems from both first basemen today, Keith.
So that's the second double play here for South Brunswick in this game. This one a little bit more orthodox than the last one. Here's a fly ball to left field. Schneider giving chase and sets under and makes the catch. So Vakunas flies out to end the 4th inning. So at the end of 4 innings of play, South Plainfield still holding on to that precious 2-0 lead. For Andy Lukac, this is Keith Carroll. We'll be right back after this.
With Ross.
Yes, we're back here in South Plainfield. Andy Lukac with Keith Carroll, Channel 20. Thanks a lot for everyone joining us here. South Plainfield, the undefeated. The shutout string continues here for the Tigers, and up to bat for the Vikings of South Brunswick is Ralph Ramirez, number 3 here, the second baseman. Ramirez has flown out to Cochrane his first time up, and Keith Carroll, you're climbing up the stairs and back in the booth here also now.
A little bit of stair climbing for both of us here, Andy. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Plax, grounded to Massaro. Plenty of time, throws over to Parita, so that will be the first out in the top of the 5th inning. Just like I mentioned before, great defensive play there by both Massaro brothers. Tommy playing shortstop and Danny playing right field. And Coach Novak praised, as I mentioned earlier, the play of Massaro, saying he is one of the best shortstops in Central Jersey. And that'll bring up Pete Schneider. Pete, who hit, interestingly, to a 1-4-3 out, fouls this one down the left field line.
What a bullet. By the way, our thanks to Anthony Barbera, the senior on the South Plainfield bench, for giving us the information about Jay as quick as a bullock, the sophomore, number 19.
Faster than a speeding bullock would sound. A little bit nicer, Andy.
It's the new Spike Lee film. It'll be out soon, replacing, of course, the 2 Jakes.
Here is the 0-1 pitch to Snyder from Plax. 2-0 South Plainfield. Ball low, 1-1.
Or New Jake City, or whatever that happens to be, whatever. Of course, we're not here to plug. Don't forget to watch a lot of the other cable shows on Stora Cable here, including In the Mix, Spontaneous Combustion, and Playing Sports, along with, of course, your regular diet of Andy Lukac and Keith Carroll doing South Plainfield, North Plainfield, and Plainfield interscholastic sports events.
We're part of the Basic 4 food group, I think, Andy. Bread, Andy Lukac, Keith Carroll, vegetable, and mineral.
It's good to see, of course, our game 2 weeks ago rated higher than the Super Bowl in the sweeps weekend of May here.
And there's a sky fly ball there to Hilton giving chase, and Kemp's under and makes the catch. So Snyder flying out to
Talk
center
about a major
field.
league pop-up, Keith.
So Plax moving along pretty smoothly here in the 5th inning. That'll bring up Scott Irwin, the right fielder who struck out his first time at the plate in the 3rd inning, excuse me. And Andy, we're still looking to hear from that interview there.
We're going back to the tapes, to the technology of today. We've got to rebroadcast that and bring it to the wires of our studio to bring it to our tables here, but we'll see if we can get it before the end of the game, Keith.
1-0 count to Scott Irwin. The sun kind of going in now, a little bit of wind whipping up here in South Plainfield as he fouls this one right behind us, and you see 4 girls scatter. Now runs the count to 0-2.
I guess they don't remember us since it's been such a long time because of rainouts and misscheduling because of the bad weather that we've had here. No one recognized us. No coffee, no donuts today, by the way, Keith.
And there's a fly ball deep to center field. Hilton giving chase and makes the one-handed grab. Nice defensive play there by Hilton as Irwin sends him to the warning track, and a good play by Hilton to retire South Brunswick here in the top of the 5th inning. So Brian Plack's pitching tremendous, just 1 over the limit here in the 5th inning. He's pitched to 16 batters. So at the end of 4 1/2, South Plainfield holding on to that 2-0 lead in quest to a 17-0 record, Andy.
It's interesting also that we mentioned as the game started in our pregame warm-up that Coach Novak had debated and thought about using a 2-pitcher rotation for today's game. And indeed, as the inning had ended there, the coach acknowledging Brian Plax, the junior, and asking if the star lefty was tired, would he like to continue? And I think that the decision has not really been made as of yet, because we see Quinn Johnson in the dugout here with his jacket on, and we'll try to get confirmation to see if Quinn will be finishing up the game, Keith, or not. But meanwhile, leading off will be the top of the order for South Plainfield here in the 5th inning with the Tigers ahead by a 2-0 score, and Jeff Hilton, who is on 0 for 2 today in today's game with a ground out. Was that a second to the first baseman?
No, he hit it right in front of the mound, and
the catcher
threw him out at first base.
And of course a ground out to the second baseman also for Hilton. He's 0 for 2 today. His average dropping a little from 396 as he started the game.
As he bunts this one foul. Good idea there by Hilton.
So of course South Plainfield trying to work for a couple runs here in the 5th inning of play, and the game is of course very close, as we mentioned also. The streak, the shutout streak, the undefeated streak on the line, but just as important for South Brunswick, Keith Carroll, of course, a 500 record and a berth in the state tournament.
Yeah, they have a little bit more at stake here. It's a nice shot right up the middle by Hilton. So having an 0-2 count, punches the ball right up the middle. So a good piece of hitting there by Jeff Hilton. And that'll bring up Danny Massaro. Danny struck out his first time up and grounded to Ralph Ramirez in the 2nd inning. So he's 0 for 2, looking to get on for the first time in the ball game. Craig Collins still in there for South Brunswick. Here's the pitch. The runner is going. Here's the throw, and couldn't hold on to it. Janowski, good throw there by Miliotis. Janowski trying to slap the tag a little bit too fast, dropped the ball. We have injured Jeff Hilton as he's laying face down there in the dirt. I think he pulled something. I think he pulled his hamstring. I think that's what he's trying to tell Steve Novak as I'm trying to read lips here.
Well, we're trying to judge exactly Hilton. Of course, his loss would be a terrible loss, but I think it's more like he jammed his foot going into the base, and I'm not sure exactly if that's a movable base there, or maybe his cleat got caught in the ground, and we hope it isn't really a cartilage or ligament or whatever, but sometimes, unfortunately, that happens when you jam yourself, and it looks from the indication here that he may be being taken out of the game, and we hope
I think he will be taken out of the game as Coach Novak just is calling Rich Tuma to pinch run for Hilton, and he told Barbara to warm up to play center field for South Plainfield. So we just hope this is a precautionary measure here by Steve Novak, and that nothing is wrong with Jeff Hilton. But he seems to be standing up on his own volition and kind of flexing on his tippy toes as he walks up the field, and they give him a round of applause here. So Jeff Hilton seems to be walking pretty much straight, just a little bit of a limp there, but that's a good sign, Andy.
Looks like he may have jammed his right knee there, Keith, and of course that's always a great sign to see him up walking, loosening up his leg immediately, and hopefully it's just something that's going to keep him out for the rest of the game.
Anthony, I'm not sure, but you be ready.
And Steve Novak has made a couple changes here, and we'll try to get them for you as soon as we can also. But in the meantime, as Keith, you just mentioned, it is Tuma, the outfielder extraordinaire replacement for the Tigers at second base, replacing Hilton Massaro
As a pitch
right now.
Excuse me, and the pitch gets away, and Tuma will be at third base easily. So a 2-0 count to Dan Massaro, and the runner is on third base. So that runner on third base means a lot for South Plainfield, Andy. With a 2-0 lead, Coach Novak would like to punch that run in. Massaro takes low for a 3-0 count. Craig Collins, the 3-0 pitch, foul ball.
And indeed, this has been a great spring for South Plainfield and for sports in this area, and indeed a great sports year.
As he grounds the ball to the second baseman, and he'll be a foot race, and he will beat him. Ooh! And a tough slide there on first base by Massaro, but he gets up, and the run does score, so he does his job. We'll give him the RBI as a run does come across. But a great play there by Ralph Ramirez with a foot race with Massaro, as the first baseman, Guantuano, was too far in and dove for the ball and couldn't get up to cover his position.
Rich Tuma coming right in there, and of course a good move, as it turns out, for Hilton. You don't want to further injure his star center fielder and leadoff hitter, and you want to establish and keep some speed on the base pass, and that's exactly what happened.
Here is Chris Cochran. The count is now 1-1 to Cochran. Cochran doubled his first time, a ground rule double his first time, and his single his second time. So either a triple or a home run here, Andy, and we'll be in the mood for a cycle as he takes high 2-1.
Notable dignitaries of the game include state wrestling champion Kevin McCann, I believe, and of course wrestler and football player Nikki DeGrazia here also. So some South Plainfield notables that are going to be graduating this coming year. Of course, McCann on his way with a wrestling scholarship.
And Chris Cochran walks, so he's been on base all 3 times in this ball game. And that'll bring up the 4th place hitter, Tommy Massaro, who's flew out to center field, deep to center field his first time at bat, and base hit the second time at bat in the 3rd inning. Fouls this one. Ooh, that almost was Quinn Johnson's chest right there. Thank God the fence was right there.
The Board of Education, by the way, that was just recently elected in here, has just voted as of right now for a 2-foot extension, appropriations for extension for that fence right there for the tall South Plainfield team leaning up against there.
Here's the old pitch as
Sort of a balk move right there, Keith.
Kind of a deceptive move there by the pitcher, Craig Collins. 3-0 the score. South Plainfield ahead, 1 away here in the bottom of the 5th inning. As we have a fly ball deep to right field, and that'll be caught. Good judgment there by the right field, and we will have a double play here at first base. So that's the 3rd double play turn there by South Brunswick. A heads-up great running catch by Irwin in right field. Chris Cochran thought the ball was going to go over his head, rounded second base, so it was an easy double play for South Brunswick. So at the end of 5 innings, South Plainfield picks up a run here in the bottom of the 5th. So the score is now 3-0 for Andy Lukac. I'm Keith Carroll. We'll be back to bring you more action right after this. Welcome back to South Plainfield. Andy Lukac coming back, getting some information for us. Andy, what'd you find out?
Louis Orellano, the junior, is now on the mound for a departed Craig Collins. Collins departed, and maybe you have the stats on the amount of innings pitched for Mr. Collins and the amount of strikeouts, Keith?
Well, we will find that out. Craig Collins going 5 1/3 innings as the pitch is lined to straightaway center field in the gap. That'll score Johnson as Bakunis rounding first, going to second, and will hold there with a stand-up double. So a great piece of hitting there by Kevin Bakunis, greeting pitcher Luis Orellana. Welcome to the ball game, Luis.
Jim Bowden actually scoring. Jim Bowden scoring.
Excuse me, that's right.
For pinch running for Quinn Johnson, a junior. He is known as Jim faster than a speeding bullock, Bowden even. And stepping up right now is Jeff Hilton, and there's a little problem here behind little difference of opinion, and let's exactly try to get the report exactly what's going on here. Keith, I'll be back in a moment with a little investigative reporting. I think actually the coach, Coach Cleffy.
And we'll be back, Andy, right after this.
All the world's a stage. All the men and women play to make a difference.
Welcome back here to the bottom of the 6th inning. One away here for South Plainfield. A 6-0 lead here for the Tigers. A little bit of a confrontation here. Talking to one of the watchers here in South Plainfield. A little bit of confrontation between the coach of South Brunswick and apparently a student, but we don't know if that's officially confirmed. As a nice shot by Hilton. That's way back to center field. It is high, it is deep, it is caught at the warning track. And Bakunis tagging up from second to third base. Jeff Hilton giving a charge into that one. Almost a home run for Hilton, but instead it's a fly ball. Good play there by Miliotis. But Bakunis moves up 90 feet. Andy Lukac back here. Andy, it was rumored that the coach went after a watcher by here, Andy, or is that true?
Indeed, Coach Cleffy of South Brunswick complaining throughout the early part of the game. According to our sources here at STORE, the Inside in High School Sports Entertainment Station, that indeed Cleffy got to the point of frustration. He lost his composure and was indeed tossed out of the game, as a matter of fact, and his assistant coach, John Capola, right now is taking over the reins. So as you notice, as we'll sort of zoom in on him right there, our cameras there, that the coach is behind the bench right there, and he is actually being tossed out. So sort of a unique situation, rarely see in high school baseball, but indeed no punches were thrown and no one's injured.
Getting back to action. Here's a fly ball left field. It is high, it is deep, it is caught at the warning track. So a couple of South Plainfield players putting the charge into the ball, but great defense there by the South Brunswick Vikings. So at the end of 6 full innings of play, South Plainfield 6, South Brunswick nothing. For Andy Lukac, this is Keith Carroll. And Andy, before we go to break, I just want to reiterate the story. I was talking to one of the South Plainfield students who was involved in the incident. Kevin Bakunis lining a double in the gap, and before the hit, the coach moved the center fielder over more, and the ball was hit into the gap where he once was. So the player said, "Oh, nice move, coach." And as you said, in the frustration, he came over and said, "Who's got the problem?" Went to swing at the student, and kind of lost his composure. And if that's a true story, Andy, as a high school coach, that's the one thing you really don't do. And as any adult, you really don't step to that level to go after an individual, especially a person in high school. Heads up. The cameraman, a ball bouncing over to our cameraman, didn't want Andy Michaud to get a black and blue on his head there.
Of course, Keith, the opinion is expressed by ourselves, myself, yourself, Keith Carroll, Andy Michaud, or of course Don Wormley here, or Marvin Day, are not those of STORE Cable,
Nope.
but are ours, and That's the way we view it. It seems like a logical thing. He just lost his composure there, and for all technical things, we'll see if the GMC will have any fine levied or suspension against the coach, but I doubt it sincerely. It was one of those situations where he felt that he had an agreement with the umpire that they were going to move some of the South Plainfield fans from behind the cage early in the game. They did not move, and late in the game, late in the season, as your team is going down to defeat, and indeed your chances for a state tournament berth are going down to defeat, I think all these things amounted to last 3 outs here for South Brunswick, and Coach Cleffy just had enough of it, and he sort of he tried to take things in his own hands, as you mentioned, Keith, not the proper thing to do. He's not going to win in that case, and only bad blood's going to be spilled.
And here is Brian Plax pitching to Jonas Bracalare to complete the scoreless streak for South Plainfield and to clinch a White Division championship for South Plainfield. And talking to Chris Cochran earlier in the year when he was first on playing sports, he said the one thing he'd like to do in his career is win a championship, and if this game goes as looks like it's going to go, he will win a White Division championship and have a good chance in the counties as well as the state, Sandy.
56 consecutive innings. Brian Plax is staring right in his face right now as the South Plainfield for consecutive shutouts, going for their 8th shutout here at South Plainfield, and it looks right now that not only they're going to get the shutout consecutive streak continued, but also another consecutive victory to go 17-0 and clinch, of course, as we've mentioned, the White Division Championship.
He pitches up high, and he will walk Jonas Bracalare here in the top of the 7th.
Keith, not that we've jinxed anybody, e.g. the no-hitter earlier in the year, mentioning these sort of things. As a matter of fact, they were joking about Quinn Johnson's no-hitter in the local newspapers with Johnson pitching the one-hitter that we did broadcast here against Piscataway, I believe, Keith, a few weeks ago, and then his ensuing performance on the mound pitching a no-hitter, and of course the papers were mentioning the fact that from the very first inning they were kidding Quinn about pitching a no-hitter that next particular time, and of course breaking the old rule that you don't talk about the no-hitter on the bench at all.
Quinn Johnson, a great story. In 3 games he's pitched, he has given up 4 hits. So that's just a great story, and a .98 ERA, and a heck of a basketball player also. So runner on first, no outs here in the top of the 7th. That'll bring up Ralph Ramirez, the second baseman, who was 0 for 2 in the ball game. Ralph takes high, ball 1.
A couple quick other local notes. We'd like to again congratulate Art Rickstadt, the tennis coach of North Plainfield. He's finishing up his 25th year coaching at North Plainfield. Tennis team with a surprise good record this year, 8-5.
And there's a strike to Ramirez, so the count is now even. It's a 1-1.
And don't forget to call up Giant Stadium, high school sports fans, for the North-South High School annual classic game to be played at Giant Stadium this year. Call Giant Stadium for tickets in June.
Here's the 1-1 pitch, swung on, golfed right in front of Cochran. That'll be a base hit as Cochran stays in front. So there's runners on first and second. Good play there by Cochran to try to get the runner sleeping at second base, a.k.a. Alvaro Espinoza, picking off a lot of runners at first base. And the latest victim, Ken Griffey Sr., hitting a base hit to center field, trotting back to first base. And Alvaro Espinoza with a quick flip to Manley to get off Griffey.
Of course, the Yankees are going to need a little bit more help than that to get back in the winning ways. The team is really suffering in doldrums, but the shutout streak indeed in jeopardy right now, Keith.
So runner on first and second, Pete Schneider up, who's hitting to a grounded out 1-4-3 and flew out to center field. So he's 0 for 2 in this ball game. Ryan Plax, 2 men on, none out. Top of the 7th inning, ball high.
Brian Plax is going for his 5th win. Chris Cochran is 7-0. Brian Plax is 4-0. Quinn Johnson 3-0. Jeff Hilton 1-0. Peter Gustafson 1-0. Not a bad pitching staff.
And there's a strike to Pete Schneider. What they need here is the Al Capone ball here, known as the double play ball. So I look for it right here, Andy. I'm gonna call it, Andy. Ground ball to Massaro. to Bakunis to Pareda. Ball in the dirt. Good stop there by Aller. So that's just a little prediction there, Andy.
Keith, who did you have in the Kentucky Derby last weekend?
You know, Andy, I ran in the Kentucky Derby, and I finished on Monday, I believe. No, horse racing isn't my cup of tea, Andy. As there's a strike to Schneider.
Matter of fact, I follow horse racing so much to the point when someone mentioned the Kentucky Derby, I thought we were shopping for hats the other day.
And you can watch Andy's stand-up comedy on Rascals Comedy Hour every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at Story Cable. Here's the pitch, just missing. So that will load the bases for South Brunswick. No outs. And that'll bring up Scott Irwin. So the bases are loaded for South Plainfield, for South Brunswick.
And of course, with Coach Coppola, Jonas Broccolari is the DH now, coaching at first base, sort of a player-coach situation for South Brunswick here.
Here's the pitch to Irwin, low, ball one. So the pressure is on Brian Plax to keep the shutout streak, but I'm sure Coach Novak, he's going to make a pitching change here. He's going to yank out the plaques, as they say, and a heck of a game by Brian Plax here as he gets a round of applause here by all the South Plainfield watchers. And Quinn Johnson will now step into the game. We already read the book on Quinn Johnson. He's 3-0 with a .98 ERA in 28 and a third innings pitched. So there's no outs here. Runners on first, second, and third. As they say, the bases are juiced.
You know, also, it's interesting that Coach Novak is going to really depend on playing his infield back. You go for the double play. They're up by 6 runs here. The streak has eventually got to end, and of course the key here is winning the game, continuing the undefeated streak, and don't have a team come back from being close to being shut out and then lose the game. Obviously, with a runner at the plate, there are 4 runs here, and still no outs here, I believe. Keith and the
Another on none out here.
So what Novak is trying to do is just keep his team. If the shutout streak ends, fine. Let's keep the undefeated streak. Let's keep the momentum as we go into the counties.
That's the important thing. And Steve Novak is that type of guy where it's nice to have that shutout streak, but that's not really the important thing here. The important thing is, like you said, Andy, to win the ball game. So you could clinch the White Division Championship, not so much because you're undefeated, but just to win that championship, a little bit early, take a little bit of pressure off your ball club, especially when you are 16. You do have a lot of pressure every game to keep that streak alive. But Steve Novak's just that type of guy. In a short time that we've known him, Andy, he's a great coach, a great all-around guy, and he's great for South Plainfield baseball.
Meanwhile, with the count, I believe, at 1 ball and no strikes, Quinn Johnson takes over on the mound here. The top half of the 7th inning with no out and the bases loaded.
And here's the 1-0 pitch now, 1-1.
One pitch in, and Johnson already has given, trying to get in control here of the game here, which before South Plainfield gets in a little trouble here at home playing at friendly South Plainfield.
There's the 1-1 pitch fouled back. Now the count is 1-2. So Johnson come in pitching 2 straight strikes to Scott Irwin. Bases loaded, no outs, 1-2 count. The big man, Quinn Johnson. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Just missing. Scott Oler and Quinn Johnson wanted that one, as well as the whole South Plainfield watchers on, as the pitch just missed. If it missed, it missed by hitting the black part of the plate there, Eddie. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swung on, fouled off. Count stays 2-2.
Irwin just caught that ball at the very end. The ball is virtually past him. Interesting here that Irwin and this rally started near the end of the lineup with Janowski due up next, the shortstop, and then you go to the top of the order with the Miliotis, Guantelano and Miliotis brother.
The ball low, so the count now full, and Quinn Johnson wants a new ball. So full count, and the pressure's on Quinn Johnson just to keep the streak alive. But as we said, that's really not an important factor here, maybe for the kids, but really not for Coach Steve Novak and the South Plainfield baseball team.
So this is the way the drama is set as Johnson's ready. 55 consecutive innings.
We had a pickoff attempt at third, and he just gets in. Nice pickoff attempt there by Quinn Johnson. Almost had the runner on third base, and Jonas Bracalari sleeping there. So 3-2 pitch, and here's a man who likes pressure, Quinn Johnson. Here's the 3-2 payoff pitch. Ground ball just foul outside the third base line. So set the table again. We're going to do it one more time here, Andy.
Irwin, of course, staying alive in there, and of course, with the bases loaded, forces on any base, and Coach Novak, as we mentioned, has his infield back on double play depth. Of course, Kenny Pareda not holding on the runner on first base, and back to Keith Carroll for the call.
Here's the 3-2 pitch, swung on, fouled back. The count stays 3-2. So this is a good matchup, a good batter matchup in Scott Irwin and Quinn Johnson.
Of course, warming up in the bullpen for South Plainfield.
Tommy Novak. Here's the 3-2 pitch, swung on, fouled back again. Heads up, Tommy. That'll miss Tommy Novak, thank God.
Tommy is, of course, looking for the rosin bag back there. I believe Quinn Johnson, of course, had taken it to the mound with him.
Okay, back to action here. As you see little Tom Novak running around here.
Drama again, Keith Carroll.
3-2 pitch. Oh, took something off that one and fooled Scott Irwin. That ball might have been ball 4 as Scott Irwin just fought that off the foul back.
Come on now, Scott.
Throwing a new ball here, and
big Quinn Johnson, and he's the man, as we said, like pressure here. Had the no-hitter the last time we were here, but gave up the hit to the last batter. Johnson with the new ball likes the feel of it. No, he second thought he wants the old ball. Kind of a thing with pitchers, they want the seams a certain way, a little tighter on some than the other. And here's the 3-2 pitch, bases loaded, no out, swung and missed, strike 3. Scott Irwin helped out Quinn Johnson a little bit on that one, Andy.
So it's 55 1/3 innings now. South Plainfield still on the verge of an undefeated season thus far. Of course, South Plainfield still with many games hopefully still to go that are even not on the schedule with the counties and also the state tournament. But the business at hand right here against South Brunswick, a GMC championship, a shutout streak, and of course the unbeaten streak.
Here's John Janowski, the shortstop, just takes inside ball 1 by Quinn Johnson. As we were saying, and Scott Irwin and Quinn Johnson, a good matchup with battling back and forth. But Irwin may have been fooled in the pitch, may have got a little anxious and struck out on that one. As the pitch is low, now makes the count 2-0.
Little mention yesterday, of course, the South Plainfield boys track results defeated Perth Amboy 91-39. Kishan Simmons winning the 100 and 200. But of course, the drama is right now. We're watching on Thursday here at South Plainfield to Keith Carroll.
Here's the 2-0 pitch, ball high, 3-0. So now 3-0 here. Runners on first, second, and third bases are loaded. 1 out here. 55 in the third innings, is it, Andy?
It's 55 in the third innings, and what you want to do here is you don't want to give him an easy pitch to hit and get a couple runs in.
And strike 1. John Janowski trying to get on base there, trying to fool the ump, but no way, Jose, as the pitch just painted the inside corner. The count is now 3-1.
You figure that Janowski, of course, will not get the green light here.
3-1 pitch, grounded. Good play by Pareda, and the ball is foul. Foul ball. A little bit of a late call by the umpire. And now the count is 3-2, and Quinn Johnson again, 3-2 count. Bases are loaded, 1 away.
Ball grounded right in front of our remote box. Earlier we were up in the green, up in the mezzanine. Now we're down at field level here, our store box.
Here's the 3-2 pitch, swung on.
It could be 2.
Bakunis gets the 1 out, and the running streak, the scoreless streak is over, but that's okay. Heck of a 55 in the third innings there for South Plainfield. But now what's important is to keep the winning streak alive here as a run does score. in Jonas Bracalare. So the score is now 6-1 in favor of South Plainfield. Runners on second and third, 2 away, and that'll bring up Nico Miliotis. Nico, who is 0 for 3 in this ball game. Here's the pitch to Nico. Takes strike 1. Nice, beautiful spring day here. It's 1/4 and still light out as the pitch is fouled off right into the catcher Scott Allers' mitt.
So Keith Carroll, we've been in this situation before. Quinn Johnson on the mound, on the verge of winning a game here, closing a game at home, and he does it.
That'll do it. That'll do it. That's it. The South Plainfield Tigers are the White Division champions. So for Andy Luke and Keith Carroll, we'll be back with our play of the game right after this.
Welcome back to the Story Cable post-game show today. South Plainfield continued a march to championships this year, gaining the championship in the Greater Middlesex Conference White Division with a 6-0 shutout, or pardon me, 6-1. It's been so frequent that's been a shutout this year after the shutout streak of nearly 8 consecutive games, pardon me, has ended. But the undefeated streak season continues here, and championship season for South Plainfield continues. Andy Lukac with Keith Carroll and our guest post-game. Key members of this particular squad to our extreme right. Pitcher, today's winning pitcher, Brian Plax Jr. Congratulations, Brian. And to my right, junior also, Tommy Massara with a great defensive game and a hit during the game also. Tommy, your comments, championship game, undefeated season. Not speaking about the end of the game and a run, but this team certainly is a special sort of team, special bunch of guys here.
Yeah, we've been practicing hard and playing great ball all year. I just hope it keeps it up and everything. So I want the undefeated season, totally.
Brian Plax, a surprise in the pitching staff to a lot of people, but maybe not to your coach and your teammates, whatever, but undefeated also. Can you give me a little scenario as the streak ended and the feelings that raced through your mind or whatever? That's sort of a sensational type. We were calling it sort of an Oral Hershiser type streak there.
And I was pretty depressed when they scored that run. I had like 24 straight innings scoreless also, so gotta give credit to the defense. It's been superb all year.
Yeah, we were talking about the defense myself, Tommy. Just great all-around play there when the play you spun around and threw a strike to Kevin Bakunis. Is that something that you know you work on? I mean, you're a twin like me also. I'm a twin brother.
Yeah.
Growing up, you always play catch with your brother, and you know that's how you work on your defensive skills.
Yeah, that when I was growing up, that's all we did, ground balls and that. But in practice, we take 50 to 75 ground balls a day and work on flips and plays in the hole and all that.
Well, now you have, I believe you have 3 more games left to. You've now clinched the White Division championship. Do you think this team's going to be a letdown, or do you still think since you won the championship they're not going to worry now, they're not going to play as tough, or you're not worried about that from this ball club?
Nah, that's not like the Tiger team. We're going to keep playing, try to win everything. Try to go undefeated and win the states and counties.
Well, I know if I ask this question, do you think you'd be 17? No, I don't think anyone thinks it'll be 17 after 17 games. But is that surprising? I mean, from the talent, you have good talent in this ball club. Being 17-0, how does it feel? Especially being 5-0 yourself, I believe, on the mound.
Feels great. Both freshman teams were undefeated, so it's no reason why we can't be undefeated this year.
Yeah. As I mentioned to, and Coach Novak had told me when we wrote a story earlier in the year for the local newspaper in town here that he was expecting, and it would not surprise him to have an outstanding season considering that 2 freshman teams out of 3, I believe, were undefeated going into this particular year. And there's a lot of pride obviously involved in this Tiger team here. I guess one of the main questions is, Tommy, to you. I mean, it's a great season for South Plainfield sports. Is there any sort of pressure now that you feel is undue or whatever? Just to the matter, maybe you're winning, and a little jest also that you're getting, I guess, in the papers, that you're doing it almost with mirrors without hitting the home run, and yet today, some of the balls, the way we looked at, looked like they were signaled to go out. I guess maybe a home run just going to be a matter of time, and it's great to see Quinn Johnson get out of a bad hitting streak also.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on all of us about the lack of home runs and all that, and we get criticized for that. But if we keep going undefeated, hey,
That's not
No
really
pressure
what
on
matters.
me.
The home
That's
runs
right.
don't matter. It's the W.
We'll take the little hits.
We did get one on Tuesday, about Hour. Scott Hour hit a home run at North Brunswick.
So that broke the streak of home runs without.
Yeah.
That's the only one so far. Brian, also this year, now you're 5-0. What particularly has made your transition to a frontline pitcher this year? Was it one particular pitch, or was it just a mental attitude as the season progressed and confidence?
Today it was mostly fastballs. I don't overpower them. They just spot it well, and superb defense handles it when they hit the ball.
You must feel great as a pitcher knowing that you have that defense behind you. You know, if you let one get away, and having players like the Massaro brothers and Chris out there and Gustafson, I mean, just a great feeling knowing that if you let one go, that they're there behind you. You have eight more players behind you.
I only have one loss through my high school years, freshman JV, and that loss was because of errors last year, so on the JV level. So it feels good to have great defense.
Well, fellas, thanks for joining us here. Good luck in the rest of the season in the county and state tournament. For Andy Lukac, I'm Keith Carroll. We'll be back with Coach Steve Novak right after this.
Marines.
Welcome back to South Plainfield. Keith Carroll, Andy Lukac, and the new championship coach of the White Division, South Plainfield Tigers, Steve Novak. Steve, you have to be happy with your effort. So you lost the scoreless inning streak, but that's not really important. And me and Andy knew when you went out to the mound to talk to your team and your pitcher that you were trying to tell them, hey, don't worry about the scoreless streak, let's worry about the win.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to win it today, so the next three games are actually, they're important to us to keep a winning streak and momentum going, but we didn't want to have any more pressure built on us because of streaks or winning. We wanted to win the conference today, and by winning today, it makes no difference what we do in our next three conference games next Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we really want to get ready now for the county tournament, which opens up on the 18th here at home in South Plainfield. But the name of the game was Brian Plax just got tired. Early in the day, he had told me he didn't feel well. He didn't know what he was going to be able to do. And I said, well, give me your best shot. We have Quinn in relief. Maybe I waited one batter too long because I knew he was a bit tired. But the kid has done so well, and we're on the streak. And I said, let him go. But when they were loaded up and he threw the ball to the first batter, I knew it was time. He was tired. He wasn't getting the ball over the plate. And he's got excellent control. So his wildness in that last inning was strictly because he was tired. And Quinn got us out of a big jam. I mean, he did a heck of a job with only fastballs in that inning, boy. But I was very pleased. And the name of the game is let's win the game. Sure. And that's what we did. And I think Kevin Bakunis showed us that when the bases were loaded, the ball was hit to him. I'm sure there were a few fans who were saying, let's throw that home and cut the... But that's not the way to do it. You get the out. We did. And like I say, we go home champions. And I think that's what these kids want. And they deserve.
It was interesting. Me and Andy were talking about that. South Plainfield, you have great defense. And that, 17-0. You have to give some credit to your defense. We were talking at the time of the Massaro brothers, Gustafson, Bakunis. I mean, what do you feel about the South Plainfield?
Well, the headlines in all the newspapers always talk about the three pitchers who've really put this streak together, and the hitting has been there some games, and the ones that hasn't, the pitchers have done it. But the defense of two key people really, or maybe three even, one is Tommy Massaro. I have to, again, say, as I did in the pregame show, he has to be one of the best shortstops around. A play he made today earlier in the game preserved, quote, a run from scoring. But he's making those plays all the time now. He's playing within himself, understanding what he can do. He's got a tremendous strong arm. We can play him up or back either way. And he's hitting the baseball, too. So, of course, that makes him feel a lot better. Jeff Hilton in center field, everything's a can of corn that goes to the outfield. He patrols that outfield over here as best as anyone I've ever had. And we've had some really great all-state players with Zielinski and Robbie Ford, Eugene Massaro. But he's one of the best ever defensively.
Coach, congratulations again. And the commentary all year has been you've been doing it with mirrors with some pitching, which, as I was kidding Brian Plax earlier, has surprised everyone in the area with the exception of possibly himself, his teammates, his family, and maybe you as a little surprise also, because he, as you mentioned to me earlier in the year, that he was a graduate of a couple undefeated teams, and you mentioned that this team going into the year, you said to me, Andy, wouldn't surprise me if we have an outstanding year because there's a lot of winning and pride here.
Yeah, I think the winning and pride, and I told the kids that champions are made in the winter, and I don't think they understood that, but I think as they worked hard, whether it be in the weight room or running or batting early, over at the cages, etc. They understood that some of the things that we did around Christmas all the way into March prepared their bodies better. Chris Cochran built himself up to 196 pounds, and Quinn Johnson's a strong kid. And we're going through a streak right now, playing a lot of ball games. We practice every day. Like a lot of schools in the area that give off the kids when it rains, we practice every day. We practice Sunday nights from 6 to 7 for an hour just hitting. We have an excellent gym facility. We come inside at least for an hour, because I think those kids need those 40, 50 ground balls every day, and you got to swing a bat. And it's working. We have new heroes every day, but it's kind of exciting. 17 in a row. I don't think there's too many clubs in the state over the years who can speak about that. The shutout streak was great, but right now we're just looking to get real strong for the county tournament and of course for the states.
Scott Oler, we didn't even recognize I hit a home run the other day to break up the season long, and of course the South Plainfield Tiger homer watchers were out throughout the county, especially in the media, hawking you guys. Of course, when you got a good team, people want to nitpick and find anything they could possibly find wrong. Of course, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, the situation. Coach, obviously a couple of guys, including Quinn Johnson, tagging the ball today, so it's just a matter of time, I guess.
Well, I'm not even concerned about that at all. I don't want to make any comments on it. I thought the ball Chris Cochran hit today is one of the hardest hit balls I've seen in years. And then, of course, the other two balls that were hit, they're going 370, 375, and in my ballpark, they're getting caught. I got to give a lot of credit to the South Brunswick outfield. They made some nice catches of some really well-hit balls by several of the players. But we hit the ball hard, and it was good to see Quinn Johnson get some hits today, because he was in a bit of a mini slump, and he ripped that two-run double there. So, and Kevin Bakunis, who doesn't bat there all the time, hey, he came up with a big double. So I'm saying what we're doing is everyone, the key word, and it's a team, T-E-A-M. And we're all doing it. It's everyone helping out, all 13 kids, a couple of JV kids who I had pitch run today, and it's excellent. It's a lot of fun, and the most important thing, like I told you before, it's going to be the memories in the future, and they're going to have some great ones.
Well, speaking of memories, this is a memorable season so far for the South Plainfield Tigers, 17-0. Good luck in the counties and the states, Coach.
Welcome back, Andy Lukac and Keith Carroll, along with another of South Plainfield stars of the baseball season, Scotty Oler Sr. And Scott, recently I spoke to your dad and announced that you'd made a decision to go to Uppsala College and play a little football. But let's talk baseball right now. You've improved greatly with the bat, and we always knew that you hit the ball. And defensively also, main cog in the pitching staff, I'm sure you sort of prided yourself on being the catcher of just about 8 consecutive shutouts. How did that feel?
It feels pretty good to be part of the team and with the shuts and everything. It gets our team going and everything. We try to keep it going and stuff, but today...
When the run scored, Scott, I saw your expression. It was like situation. Yeah. Hey, what can I do? I couldn't even block the play in that situation. But an undefeated season and just a championship in the Greater Middlesex Conference. Looking into the year, the couple undefeated JV seasons and freshman seasons a couple of years ago, a lot of pride. And it's been a great year for South Plainfield sports.
Yeah, we've been together since last couple of years and brought together finally. Everyone's hitting. Last couple of years we didn't hit. And now everything's falling in place and everybody's playing defense and stuff.
How'd you feel about the South Plainfield home run drought? And you were the person who deposited the ball over the fence for South Plainfield. One home run, but the home runs aren't the important thing. But how'd you feel personally hitting the home run for South Plainfield?
I felt good. I felt it gave people to notice that it's not just people that are hitting, it's everybody's hitting. But it felt good inside.
Getting back to what Andy said, attending Uppsala University, you're going to play football for them.
Yeah, I'm going to play baseball too.
You're going to play both sports for them. What other college choices did you make? You had to weed out a couple.
I had William Patterson, Kane, and Fairleigh Dickinson.
What do you see in this team? 17-0, you win the white division, going to the counties and states. How do you feel about the Tigers' chances?
I feel we have a good chance. I feel we're a team, not just individuals. We're a team playing together. That's what baseball's about.
Andy?
Scott, also, any feeling when a team is 17-0, there's a lot of discussion, talk about how do you stay focused, especially after you win a championship. Now, you're a senior. What do you tell the underclassmen? What do you tell them that, and obviously you played football with a couple of the guys also here. Is there a sort of camaraderie that you have where you don't have to worry with this group of guys about staying focused, and we still have other things to do this year?
Yeah, we just got to keep practicing and keep focused on one game at a time and not let it get to our heads. Well, it's not. And defense is playing good. Kevin McCunis is doing a great job at second base, Tommy, and even Kenny Parada's filling in first base when Quinn pitches and everything. Everybody's going good.
Indeed, Kenny Parada, a guy that was a major surprise with his bat, and Coach Novak can't help but keeping to play the game, and obviously Quinn was given a little chance to rest today, came in and saved the game also, but he had some nice defensive plays today also early in the game at first base. Looking out on your outfield there, has anyone really impressed you that you didn't think was going to have a stellar year? And obviously there's a few answers to that question.
Well, left field, you know, we haven't a steady out left fielder yet, but it's working with Jeff Hilton. He's covered a lot of ground out there, and Danny Massaro, he's just so runs so well out there and stuff. He hits the ball. Jeff hitting the ball and everything.
What's the reason for you hitting the ball? Obviously, we know that you can hit the ball with average, but you've really hit the ball this particular year with average. Any particular keys for you why you're seeing the ball better or whatever, and anything that you know got to get down and sort of make an adjustment after sort of a tough day today?
Yeah, well, my batting coach Mike Bear has helped me, and he's helped me my stance this year and everything, keep it focused on the ball and hitting line drives and everything. So he's helped me a lot, so I'd like to thank him for that and stuff.
Andy, I think Scott, good luck. Thank you for joining with us. Good luck in the rest of the season.
Scott Owen, congratulations, continued success on the championship year, and I think you've got a couple other things. And now this is going to be shown on videotape on Saturday. Was there anything you want to tell your buddies returning home from the prom last night, or anything else to any friends out there?
I doubt Scott will be up to watch the game, even though it's on noon after the prom.
So everyone's safe and everything. Safe at home from the shore and everything. Have fun.
Thanks, Scotty. I appreciate it. Class guy, class operation, class team here on behalf of the South Plainfield baseball team, Stora Cable, Keith Carroll, Marvin Day, Don Wormley, Andrew Michaud. This is Andy Lukacs saying South Plainfield has won again. They won a GMC White Division Championship. The shutout streak is over, but they're still undefeated, and there are more to go also. So thanks a lot, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you real soon on Channel 20.
That's on the breakaway. Beat Brookton between the pads, the first of his 2 goals. Wow. Penguins led 2-1 after 1. Second period, Brian Leach set a Rangers season assist record with that pass to Mike Gardner. He beats Barassa to tie the game at 2. Leach sets the team mark with assist number 66, but later, the Penguins take the lead for good. Kevin Stevens deflects Paul Coffey's shot. Second goal of the game. The Penguins now unbeaten in their last 7. 4-2, the Rangers continue to reel. Well, as for the Knicks, winners of 5 straight, 10 of their last 11 heading into Milwaukee today. The Bucks have the Knicks number. They win for the 4th time in 4 meetings. Yep, they lost it just moments so into the game. Kiki Vandeweghe. A milestone. He goes over the 15,000-point mark for his career. Later, Mo Cheeks with the steal. Feeds Gerald Wilkins. Watch this happen right here. John McLeod wearing the luck of the green. The Knicks stayed in control. Charles Oakley to Gerald Wilkins. Back to Oakley, back to Wilkins. What a team. But this is even better. Charles Oakley with the best move of the year for him. The Knicks led 63-49 at the half. Then it's halftime. It's Cartoon Calamity. Captain Crunch leading the charge. Oh, just missed. Second half, the Bucks came back from a 16-point deficit. Alvin Robertson takes a pass in, sends it down, 101-100 Knicks. 5 seconds to go in the game. It was Jack Sikma hitting the baseline jumper. The Bucks had the lead. The Knicks had one final chance, but Patrick Ewing couldn't get it to go, and the Bucks pull it out 102-101. How about that? Meanwhile, in Boston, you take on the Celtics in their garden on St. Patrick's Day, folks. You may as well just phone it in. The chief of the Celtic clan, Robert Parrish, outstanding on this day against the Sixers. 28 points and 18 rebounds. The Celtics led by 8 at the half. Second half, Armin Gilliam blocks a shot. Charles Barkley scored 38, but this time he gives Gilliam his due. But the Sixers were no match for these Celts on their day. Watch D. Brown here on the break. Faking the pass, he sends that ball down. The Celtics down the Sixers, 110 to 105. You just don't, hey, they did it all for Uncle Bob. Now to baseball. The Mets hosted the Kansas City Royals today. They lost that game. The final there was 4-3. We're going to start in the top of the second inning. That's Jim Eisenreich facing David Cone. Cone delivered, and so did Eisenreich. Flying to left field, it's going to go for a home run. Well, the old wearing of the green just didn't help matters for the Mets on this day. Bottom of the sixth now, the Royals lead 3-2. Mark Gubza, wild pitch, brought Chris Donnell's home to tie the game, but the Royals took the lead in the bottom of the sixth on a sac fly, and then the game saver. Darren Reed hits it long and far. It looks like it's gone. Watch Jeff Conine. Took the home run away. The Royals hold on to win it 4-3. And the Yankees were winners at 11 over the White Sox 7-6. I'm Scott Clark. I'm out of time, folks.
Okay. Thanks, Howdy. Thank you. Well, I tell you, you could not have asked for a beautiful Sunday. This was a great day.
Yes, it was indeed, but Monday could be a lot different. Bill Evans says watch out on Monday for animals traveling in pairs. He'll be along in just a moment.
With the only sleeper seats and 15 more inches of legroom than any other business class to London, Virgin Atlantic's upper class is truly the airline for giants of the business world. Virgin Atlantic Airways, the entertainment capital of the sky.
If I buy an extended Safari XT from GMC Truck, can I take it to work every day?
Definitely.
What about my carpool?
Absolutely.
Can we take it on vacation?
Of course.
With all of our luggage?
All of it.
Will it tow our boat?
Certainly.
It's a big boat.
Safari XT can tow up to 6,000 pounds.
Wow. But can I afford one?
Sure. Call 1-800-TRY-GMC1 for your nearest dealer. GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore. It's quality on the road.
Con Edison is introducing a major energy program to help our area. It's a commitment to the environment and to economic growth. It will reduce our dependence on foreign oil and keep costs down. This program is a new way of looking at energy. It doesn't ask people not to use it. Instead, it asks all of us, individuals and businesses alike, to join together to use it wisely. It's the biggest program Con Edison has ever introduced. It's called Enlightened Energy. It starts now and should last a long, long time. You'll be hearing a lot more about Enlightened Energy, but whether you do business here or live here, please call us for our free booklet. It will explain the many new ways Con Edison can help you. It's the first step.
Ah, yes. Even though many people were wearing green yesterday, they were today, too. The singing, dancing, and celebrating really got underway today. The real St. Patrick's Day, the Roger Smith Hotel, the scene of a big party, complete with bagpipes from Ireland, but you could have celebrated outside if you had a mind to.
That's right. It was a beautiful day today. I have had more fun this St. Patrick's Day weekend. Really a fun celebration. Now you're talking about rain coming, right?
Well, it's only fitting. We've had a nice weekend. Let the rain come in on Monday and Tuesday. We need some rain. We're a little bit below normal for this time of the year, but that didn't let anyone down as far as the spirits were today in Central Park. Look at this. Beautiful weather. The kids enjoying the day today. As a matter of fact, Jay Scott and I ran into a leprechaun who said, "Boys, could you spare a quarter for an old leprechaun?" It was a nice day today. Lots of sunshine, but however, it is drawing to a close as far as rain is on the way. Let's get a look at the current statistics. It's 50 degrees, 37% humidity. It is dry. Winds have been south at 6, though. That is a major factor in the forecast because now moisture is being pumped in off the Atlantic and from the Gulf Coast. The barometer is falling. That means another system is slowly moving in today. Temperatures 8 degrees above normal for this time of the year. All right, here's the satellite pictures from the last 24 hours. Low pressure system spiraling now through the Ohio Valley. Another low pressure system working its way up from the southeast. We had a gorgeous day stay today because high pressure was in place, but now it is moving off into the Atlantic, into the Canadian Maritimes, and this low is fastly moving our way, bringing a lot of rain. St. Louis, a couple of inches of rain. This low produced a couple of inches of rain in New Orleans over the last 24 hours. The central portion of the country's had some gorgeous weather, and another storm system is coming into California, easing their drought situation. All right, let's get a look at the other satellite picture. We put the systems on there for you. Low pressure system right here now in the Midwest. It is moving eastward. This high is exiting off the coast, and this cold front is bringing a lot of rain to California and will do so over the next 24-hour period. Tonight we're beginning to see clouds stream in from the west. We'll continue to see that throughout the night tonight, but the rain should not show up until tomorrow. Probably early in the morning we'll see some light rain. The heavier rain will develop in the afternoon as those two low pressure systems I was talking about move right into the northeast. The Catskills, the Berkshires, the Poconos will see snow. The ski resorts will see wet snow throughout the period, and the rest of the country will really see some nice weather. Sunshine from the southeast, across the plains, all the way to the Pacific. From Fort Bragg now to San Luis Obispo, could be 3 inches of rain in California and some mudslides. But for us tonight, clouds increase, low 38. Tomorrow, the AccuWeather forecast, windy with rain developing, heavy in the afternoon and evening hours, high 48. Tomorrow night, the AccuWeather forecast, rain, heavy at times, could be a galosher slosher, put an oar in the car just in case. Monday, the rain. Tuesday, could be a few flurries after the rain exits. 52 partly cloudy Wednesday and 54 on Thursday with sunshine. So a little rain to start the week, so be careful. Start early for the commute tomorrow.
Okay, I can't wait till the trees are wearing green.
Oh, I'd like that too.
We're not going to float the ark tomorrow, though. That's
no, I hope not.
We're back at 11. Thanks so much for being with us now. I'm Rolanda Watts.
And I'm Jay Scott. Have a nice evening.
For a great Florida vacation, go value. Drive a brand new Ford Escort for only $78 a week. That's right, only $78 a week. Or drive a brand new Crown Victoria for only $158 a week. That's right, only $158 a week. Plus, free unlimited mileage. For reservations, call your travel agent or 1-800-GO-VALUE. That's 1-800-GO-VALUE.
With all the cars to choose from, picking the right one is a challenge.
Well, we challenge you to find a better car than the Nissan Sentra, the best in its class. The Maxima SE, ditto. In fact, Nissan's won 17 awards the past 2 years. More than anyone else. And your dealer's ready to deal. So really, the challenge isn't which car to buy, it's which Nissan.
We challenge you to find a better car or a better deal.
Tonight, Becca blows the lid off a high school scandal.
This is my chance to make associate editor.
Becca, please, don't print it.
But it kicks Tyler off the team.
Maybe your editorial was right. Maybe I'm just a dumb jock. Dumb enough to believe you really cared about me.
Life goes on. Then,
on the next really new America's Funniest Home Videos,
smile,
you'll chuckle, you'll buckle, you'll call your aunt and uncle.
Right here on Channel 7.
Sexy Joan Collins hits the books on the next Live with Regis and Kathy Lee.
From ABC News, World News Sunday, here's Carol Simpson.
Good evening. Millions of Soviet voters went to the polls today to cast ballots in a landmark referendum. They were asked to decide whether the Soviet Union should be preserved as a federation with less power for the Kremlin and more for the individual republics. Hanging in the balance is not just the fate of the Soviet Union, but the future of Mikhail Gorbachev. The country is already so divided on the question that of the 15 republics, 6 are boycotting the referendum. 9 others did participate. We begin with ABC's Jim Laurie.
In the Soviet Far East, 7 hours ahead of Moscow, they have counted votes in Vladivostok, and early returns show Gorbachev is getting the yes vote he wants. He should. The military, the KGB, and the Communist Party machine have been working overtime. In the republics which have refused to carry out the poll, the military, using army trucks, organized voting. In Moldavia, troops guarded special polling stations for ethnic Russians, while Moldavians gathered outside, opposed the referendum, and tried to stop voting. In rural areas, home of many conservative older voters, a yes vote was favored. But in cities where Gorbachev is very unpopular, the vote was opposed. If Gorbachev's for it, said one voter, then I'll be against it. In Moscow, referendum politics revolved around Boris Yeltsin, Gorbachev's arch foe. Yeltsin forced a second item onto the ballot, asking whether people want a new president of Russia elected by popular vote, an election Yeltsin would most likely win.
The old centralized system must be destroyed and a new system built on democratic principles.
Gorbachev again defended the need to keep the Union together as it is and condemned those like Yeltsin who push for the greater independence of the republics.
It would be a tremendous tragedy for this country and the entire world if someone was insane enough to provoke the breakup of the Union.
Gorbachev has staked his credibility on the vote, and his supporters will try to use a majority yes vote to strengthen his weakened position. No matter what happens in today's referendum, Gorbachev will be left with the same problem as before: rebellious republics unwilling to listen to the Kremlin. As one voter said, it was a nice exercise, but it solves nothing. Jim Laurie, ABC News, Moscow.
When they're finished counting the votes sometime tomorrow, it's expected Gorbachev's referendum will pass. Then he'll have to face the next question in dealing with the Baltics and other rebellious republics. To keep the Soviet Union together, does he employ a policy of negotiation or confrontation? Here's ABC's Rick Enderfurth.
This is not what President Gorbachev wants to see. In Lithuania last week, the first recruits for the Republic's national army were sworn in. Another step in the Baltic states' drive for independence from Moscow, a move Mikhail Gorbachev adamantly opposes.
He personally is very concerned about the precedent that if Baltics or even Lithuania secedes from the Soviet Union, it can trigger a chain reaction.
Gorbachev said today, as he has before, that he is willing to discuss independence, but only under the terms of the Soviet Constitution and its very stringent secession law.
It's absolutely impossible.
Why?
Oh, just read it. It is much worse than the most sophisticated computer game.
Other Baltic leaders expect that law will be revised to enable serious negotiations with republics to begin.
Now question is what kind of price those countries must pay for independence.
Gorbachev does have alternatives. A continuation of the status quo which sees Soviet troops deployed throughout the country to deal with ethnic unrest, or the imposition of martial law. But
Gorbachev is a person who doesn't want to enter into history as a person who first gave birth to democracy in the Soviet Union and then destroyed it.
moreover, as the Dean of American Soviet Watchers George Kennan wrote recently, any effort to deny independence to rebellious republics would not only bring greater difficulties and advantages to the Kremlin, but in the long run would probably fail anyway. Rick Enderfurth, ABC News, Moscow.
Joining us briefly tonight from Boston is our regular expert on Soviet affairs, Dr. Robert Legvold, the director of the Harriman Institute at Columbia University. Bob, is it possible that Mr. Gorbachev will come out of this vote even